All right, multiplying algebraic expressions. That is the heading, multiplying. If I find out what is that? Okay. Let's do our bubble. Okay. So guys, we're just going to go straight into some examples. I think some of you might have done this in primary school already, but not everyone. Okay, so I'm just going to write examples, and then we'll talk about it as we go through them. Okay, so for the first one, if we have something like 2 times x times y times z. Now guys, we also actually wrote this down, I think, in the algebraic conventions, that we don't have to write those types on this, right? We can actually just write the numbers and all the letters next to each other. Okay, so how can I write this differently? 2 times x times y times z. If I just leave out all of those times symbols, what is this? 2xyz. Okay, here we go. 2xyz. Right, so that's a straightforward one to start off with. It is just a number, and say there was a 2 times 5, you wouldn't write 2 5, right? You wouldn't write 25. You would just do 2 times 5 normally. We all know that 2 times 5 is 12. Okay. Let's do another one quickly. 5 times 7 times m times n, like that. Sorry, let's do it again. Now, this is what I was talking about, guys. 5 times 7, what is that? 35, right? And we agree 5 times 7 is 35. And then we multiply that by m and by n. So the answer is going to be 35 m n. Okay, you just leave out those time symbols. You just write the letters next to each other, the variables. Okay, we did kind of do questions like that last term. Now, if we have example 3, if we have 3a times 4b. Now, this looks a little bit different from the first ones. But guys, 3a is the same as 3 times a. Do we agree with that? You can add that at the top if you want. 3a is the same as 3 times a. And 4b is the same as 4 times b. So actually what I have here is 3 times a times 4 times b. I'm going to write that as a separate step. You don't have to in a test or exam, but just so that it's clear to everyone what we're actually doing here. Right, 3a is the same as 3 times a, and 4b is the same as 4 times b. Right, so do we agree that this line is the same as the question? Right, 3 times a times 4 times b. So guys, what is 3 times 4? 12. Right, we all know that. And we have an a, and we have a b. So 12 ab, and that is the answer. Okay, let's do another one, number 4. Are there any questions at this point, guys? Right, number 4. 5 times a times a times a. So 3 a's. Times b times c. Just make sure there are 3 A's and then 2 B's and 1 C. And a 5, obviously. And guys, is there any other number that I would multiply with 5 by? No, it's just 5. Okay, so we agree that 5 is going to be in my answer. Okay, we can put that down for long. Now, guys, we have 3 A's that we're multiplying together. Does anyone know what that's going to be? A to the power of 3. Okay, good. A to the power of 3. Right, if I had A plus A plus A, right, if I'm adding them together, that would be 3A. When I'm multiplying them, we change the exponent. Okay, we're going to do lots of examples and also mix so that you can get into it. But when you are multiplying 3 A's together, you get A to the power of 3. Okay, so see, maybe you have a highlighter that you can highlight those 3 A's, or maybe just underline it or circle it or something, and then you can also highlight the A to the power of 3 to show that that is equal. All right, A times A times A is equal to A to the power of 3. However many A's there are, that becomes the exponent. Okay, if there were 7 A's, it would be A to the power of 7. Did you guys do that last year? Okay. Now, if we're looking at the B's, there are 2 B's. Now, we did discuss this last term, I almost said last year now, last term, that when you multiply something by itself, that's just squared. Okay, but now we can look at it in the same way as here. It's B, but there are 2 of them that I'm multiplying together. So the answer here is going to be B to the power of 2. Good. So B to the power of 2. You can maybe use a different color highlighter if you have. Highlight those 2 B's and then the B squared, or you can just underline or circle them in different ways, whatever, doesn't matter. And then there's 1 C, guys. So what's that going to be my answer? Just a C. And they're all written next to each other. Okay, we're now leaving out all of those times symbols. Okay, I want us to make a little note underneath this example, or maybe on the side, you can decide. Remember, and this is what we did last term, which is why I'm reminding you, you might have forgotten. If you are adding 3 A's together, right? A plus A plus A. Then you will say, lovely, they're all like terms, right? They're all A's. I'm adding them together, there are 3 of them, so that is going to be 3A. But when you are timesing them, then you're going to say that that is A to the power of 3. It's very important that you understand the differences. Yes.
For number 4, could you swap the order a little bit and instead say like 5 squared and then A?
Remember, we need to put the variables in alphabetical order. So even if they give them in a non-alphabetical order, you have to put them in alphabetical. Okay, guys, let's do some more. And writing these out does become a bit arduous just because there's so many of the same letters that we're writing. Okay, but it won't always be like that. So the next one is 3 times, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 x's now. Okay, so just check that you're making 7 of them. And guys, I do want you to please try and write your x's like that. Because if you are doing your x so that it looks like a times, that's going to be very confusing for you. Okay, so please practice writing your x rounded like that. It is so that you don't confuse it with the time symbol. And then, sorry, there is some more. Then we have 4 y's as well. You can write down the answer on the order if you know what it is. Yes. It would be x squared. It's one variable. It's one x squared. Right, guys, these are three. Is there nothing else that I was multiplied by? No, okay, so the 3 just goes in my answer. Now there are 7 x's that I'm multiplying together. So I'm going to say x to the power of 7. When you multiply, you change that exponent. Okay, and then there are 4 y's that I'm multiplying together. So y to the 4. Are you okay with that, guys? All right. Now, what they can also do is they can ask it differently. So let's look at number 6. They can give you something like 2a times 3a. Let's say 3ab. Okay, so all of the parts aren't written separately like they were up here. Okay, they're just putting some of them together. But guys, if you see a question like this, I want you to approach this in parts. Okay, first you're going to look at the numbers. Like we did here, I said, okay, there's a 3. Is there another number that I would multiply the 3 by? No, not in this case. Now, if we're looking at this, I have a 2 and a 3, and I'm timing them together, guys. That's not going to change, all right? 2 times 3 is always going to be 6. Okay, so don't think that now because we're working with exponents and variables, those things are going to change. All right, 2 times 3 is still going to stay 6. So that is now the number in front of the answer. Remember, the number always goes in front of the variable. Okay, we wrote that down last term in our convention. Now we're going to look at how many A's there are in total. There's 1 A here, and I'm timing that by 1 other A. Do we agree that there are 2 A's? And I'm multiplying them together. So that has to become a squared, a to the power of 2. Then there is only 1b. So I'm going to leave that just as b. Okay. Have I lost anyone? Also, all right. I'll do number 7 on the side here just to save some space. Number 7. Let's do -4 x squared y times 3x y to the 4. It's getting a bit more complicated now. More variables and stuff, right? More exponents, but we're going to use the same method, guys. First, we look at numbers. Now there's also a minus in front. Okay, but we've worked with negative numbers before. We all know how to do that. A negative number multiplied by a positive number is a negative. So the final answer here has to be negative. All done. All right. 4 times 3 is 12. Okay, just bit by bit, right? You do a bit by bit. Now we're going to look at the x's. We need to figure out how many x's are there in total. Now guys, here, if I have x squared, that is already 2 x's. Do we agree with that? X squared is x times x. Okay? You can add that at the top if you want. X squared is x times x. Now I'm multiplying that by another x. So how many is that in total? 2 and 1, that is 3. So that is going to be x to the power of 3. Okay, so you see how many x's are there in total, and that total becomes the exponent. Let's look at the y's, guys. There's 1 y here. How many y's do I have here? Y to the 4. That's 4 of them, hey? So 1 and 4 is 5. So that is y to the power of 5. Any questions on that one? All right. I'm going to give you guys one to do on your own quickly to see if you can do that. So number 8. Let's do 6x squared y cubed times 3xy to the 4. Okay, so it's similar to the previous one, not exactly the same, but you're going to use the same method, guys, always. When you're multiplying, you first do your numbers, then your x's, then your y's. You can have more variables, right? This will give you a whole bunch. You just go variable by variable. Okay, do that one on your own quickly. Music is going to be every week. We'll just have to catch up what. Do we have an answer? Okay, yes, we can. Sorry, yes, you can say it still. And? Yes. Okay, so guys, again, 6 times 3 is 18. X squared, that's 2 x's, and then there's another one, so that's 3. So we do x to the 3, and then 3 y's, 4 y's, that's 7 altogether, so y to the 7. Okay, that's not that bad, right? Are you okay with that? All right. We are now, let me just see here. Okay, let's do something different now. It's similar, but it's slightly different. Now we are going to do this. 2 times x plus 3. And some of you have asked me about this last term already. How would we do that? And then I said we're going to get to it still. All right, so now I'm saying 2 multiplied by a bracket. Now guys, we know from BODMAS, right, that we are supposed to simplify the bracket first. Right? Bracket comes before multiplication. So now if we look at the bracket, we see, okay, in the bracket it's saying x plus 3. Can I add x and 3 together? Are they like terms? No. But even though we're supposed to simplify the bracket first, we actually can't. Okay, so let's just add that as a note. So BODMAS, that B stands for brackets. We know that. We've practiced that before. But the bracket cannot be simplified. Why can't it be simplified again? I have said it before, but it's coming again. Not like terms, good. Not like terms. So guys, what we're going to have to do now is we need to understand that what they're saying in this question is that 2 has to be multiplied by the whole bracket. Okay? How many terms do I have inside this bracket? X plus 3, that is. So the bracket itself is 1 term, but inside the bracket we have 2 terms. So guys, what they're actually telling us to do here is we have to multiply 2 by all of the terms inside this bracket. Okay, so I would like you to make a little arrow going from the 2 to the x. We're going to have to multiply the 2 by that x, but then also by the other term, which is 3. So if you have a number or a variable, it can be anything in front of the bracket, you'll multiply it by that bracket, and you can't simplify the bracket, like in this case. You're going to have to multiply the 2 by all of the terms in that bracket. Right? Even if you have 20 terms in that bracket, right? You would have to multiply the 2 by all 20 of them. We won't give you one with 20, okay? But I'm just saying as an example. So now you can write an in-between step if you want to. You're going to say 2 times x. That's going to be the first multiplication. And then, guys, this is a positive 3, all right? So I'm going to have to put a plus there. 2 times 3 then. All right, that's what you're actually going to do. You're going to take that 2 that's in front, going to multiply it by the x, and then also by the 3. Because there's a plus in between there, you're going to put a plus in between there. All right, you don't have to write this step in case and exams or even when you're doing it. You can just have your arrow and then just think, what is 2 times x? 2 times x. So x times x is x squared, remember? But 2 times x is just 2x. And then you can look at your second arrow. What is positive 2 times positive 3? Positive 6, right? So a plus 6. Are those now like terms? No. So can I add them together? No. So that is my final answer. Okay, so it's also okay to have multiple terms in your answer, guys. It doesn't always have to be one thing, especially when we're working with brackets and multiplying into brackets. This is the final answer because these again are not like terms. Let's just also add that there. Not like terms. Therefore, final answer. You're going to leave it just like that. If you do anything to that answer, you're going to lose your answer mark. Okay, so that is the answer to that question. Okay, let's look at another one, number 10. Let's make this exam time from it. Okay, number 10, let's see what one we do. Let's do negative 4 and then in brackets x minus 2. Now guys, note that there's now not a times after the negative 4. But what did we learn? If something is just written next to something else with no sign in between them, that means that you are multiplying. Okay, so take maybe a different color pen or something. Just make a little times there, but in a different color pen so that you remember that that wasn't actually a part of the question. Okay, so if there's just a number in front of a bracket, or even another variable, if there was like an x or something in front of that bracket, you need to know that that means that you're multiplying it. Okay, again, we think of BODMAS. BODMAS says brackets first. Can I simplify the bracket? X minus 2. Are those like terms? No. Okay, so I can't simplify that bracket, so I'm going to have to go ahead and multiply the negative 4 by the x, and then also by the, by the negative 2. You also don't get a mark for putting in that arrow, but it is useful, especially in the beginning, isn't it? Right, so guys, what is negative 4 times positive x? A negative times a positive is that? Negative. And then 4 times x is just 4x. Okay, so negative 4x. That's what I get from that first product. Now we have negative 4 times negative 2. What's a negative times a negative? Positive. And 4 times 2 is 8. That's a negative 4x plus 8. Are those like terms? So one has an x, the other one doesn't, right? They're not like terms. So I can't add those together. That is my final answer. Any questions, guys? This is new, so don't feel bad if you have questions. Okay. Yeah, let me just check here. How am I doing for spacing? Maybe I must just move some stuff. Sorry, I just want to put everything on one page, right? Okay, let me do that. Okay, guys, we can write number 11 so long. We're going to do some more of these. I just wanted to get my spacing sorted quickly. All right, 11 is going to be a bit more complicated. Same concept, same method, but we're going to do a more complicated multiplication now. So now we have 3xy, and then in the bracket we have 2x minus y. Again, you can take a different color pen or pencil even, and just put that times in there. You don't have to, guys. That's just a reminder, just in case you forget. If something is different, just next to a bracket, it means that we need to multiply it. Inside the bracket, we have a 2x and a negative y. These are not like terms, right? Are we also clear on that? Because they have different variables. Okay, because the one has an x, the other one has a y. They're not like terms, so I can't simplify that. I can't add them together. So I'm going to have to multiply the 3xy by the 2x and by the negative y. Okay, so now we're going to do that, guys. So now the multiplication is a bit more complicated. All right, but we practiced that earlier in the lesson. When you're doing 3xy times 2x, we're going to do the numbers first, right? 3 times 2 is 6. X times x, that's 2 x's. So how do I write that? X times x is x squared. Then I have a y. Is there a y in this first term also that I must multiply it by? In the second term, right? But remember, I'm still first just doing that multiplication. Okay, there is no y in the first term in the bracket. There is a y on the outside, so I'm just going to put my y there. Okay, so guys, you mustn't mix the terms up. Okay, that's important. Please cover the second one when you're busy with the first one, so you don't get confused. Okay, now we're going to do the second term. So now I'm going to do 3xy times negative y. Okay, so now we're going to say, what is a positive multiplied by negative? Negative. So there has to be a minus there. All right? 3, there's no number there, so it's just going to be 3 still. Okay, there's an x. Is there an x in the second term? No. I'm just going to put that 1x in the answer. But then there is a y there that I must multiply by this y. What's y times y? Y squared. About these two terms, right? To be fair, we have two terms here. They do have the same variables, but do those variables have the same exponents as well? No. Hey, remember that's also something we need to check. So like terms have to have the same variables and the same exponents of those variables. So here we have x squared and there we have x. So these can't be like terms, right? They have to both have an x squared and then both a y or a y squared. Okay, so these are also not like terms. So can't add them together. Okay, I'm going to do one last one with you before you do your own practice. Okay, so number 12. Negative 4x squared. And then in brackets, we have 3x plus 4x to the power of 5.
Thank you.
Can I keep this like okay. Thank you. All right, guys. Let's take a look in that bracket there of those like terms. 3x and 4x to the 5. They don't have the same exponents, right? They both have x's, but that's just an x, that's an x to the 5. So these are not like terms, okay? So I can't add those together. So again, I need to do the same thing. I need to multiply the negative 4x squared by the first term and then by the second term. Yeah. Because they have different exponents for x's. So it's not enough to just both have x's. They also have to have like both x to the 5, or x to the 6, or x to the, like that exponent of x also has to be the same. Okay, now let's do this multiplication, guys. We're looking at the first one, right? So cover up the second one if you're worried that you're going to get confused. So we have negative times the positive is negative. Then we have 4 times 3 is 12. Then we have x squared, which is 2 x's, times by 1 other x. So how many do I have? 2 and 1, that is 3. So x to the power of 3. Okay, that's the first product that I did. Now I need to do the second one. So now I'm just going to cover up that first one there. Negative times a positive. That is again a negative. Then we're going to look at the numbers, right? 4 times 4 is 16. Now let's look at the x's, right? We have 2 x's here and 5 x's there. How many x's is that altogether? 2 and 5? 7. So x to the power of 7. Again, because I have an x to the 3 and an x to the 7, those are not like terms, because the exponents are different. Okay, so this is the final answer. Any questions, guys, when you write this? Okay, I'm going to just show you guys a worksheet quickly that I would like you to do, and I'll tell you which ones to do. Oh, sorry. No, that's not yours. That is matric stuff. Okay, classroom. Yes, there you go. You're welcome. Now, guys, you actually have done some work on this worksheet. I can't remember if I've given it to you. Let me just put it up here quickly. How do I now twist this? I might have to save. Oh, there we go. This one. Okay, I haven't printed this for you, but I did put it on Classroom for you. You did some of them, so you did like exercise 2 and yeah, but I think it was an optional thing. Just if you were done with the work in class, then you could carry on with this. So don't stress, guys. So please just write down basic algebra worksheet there. So it says basic algebra at the top there. Just say basic algebra worksheet. I will print this for you tomorrow. Okay, so that you actually have one to look at in your hands. Let me just see, is that the whole question one? Yeah. Okay, basic algebra worksheet. I would like you to do exercise 1. So write that down. It's these 15 questions. Guys, it looks like a lot, but it's going to go quite quickly. Okay, it's just timesing. All right, so those first types of examples that we practiced. So you can write basic algebra worksheet. Exercise 1 you're going to have to do for me for tomorrow. I'm just going to freeze that quickly just to move across to see what else. Thank you. You can just put it on the chair. Thank you. Okay, so that's exercise 1, guys. Then I would like you to do, sure. Okay, let's say exercise 1, 2, 3, and 5. It sounds like a heck of a lot, but it's really very quick. Okay, so exercise 1, 2, 3, and 5. We're leaving out exercise 4. Okay, so it's the first 5 excluding exercise 4. I'll just show you quickly what these look like. So exercise 1 is all of this. Exercise 2, there are only 5 questions, and these are all addition questions, guys. So now you need to remember that when you're adding like terms, you change the number in front. Right? Do we remember that? So for example, the first one, A plus A plus A plus A, that's 4 A's. So that's what you're right, 4a. Okay, do we remember that? That is the way that you do that. Same for all of these, all right? All of the questions in exercise 2 are addition questions, so you change the number in front. In exercise 3, they're mixing them up, guys, so you need to be very careful. The first one is x plus x. What is that going to be? X plus x is 2x. The next one, x times x is x squared. When you're adding, you change the number in front. When you timesing, you change the exponent. All right, I'll write it on the board here on the side. Man, where's that pen now again? Jesus, my stationery, there we go. Okay, so add number in front and times change the exponent. Okay, you can write that in your books as well, guys. Maybe at the top of this exercise when you start working through it, this worksheet. Okay, but that is what you always need to remember. And guys, those rules are never going to change. Okay, that's what you're going to have to do up until whenever you don't do maths anymore. All right, whether that's end of grade 9 or grade 12 or whatever. University. Okay, so that is what's happening in exercise 3. Exercise 4, I said now I do not want you guys to do. But exercise 5, again, is adding and subtracting. Okay, so in exercise 5, now they're putting in minuses, where the previous ones were just adding. Okay, quickly tell me, is this already on Google Classroom, on your class one? Okay, so guys, if you go to your class, Google Classroom, so those new people, I'm going to give you guys the code. Can you just write it down quickly? Yeah, I think it's literally right there, but it says they have to go. Okay, so guys, I did post it on the stream, right? It says here, here's an extra worksheet that you can do if you have finished the answer series and textbook work. Only do the addition and subtraction questions. That now obviously has changed. All right, so it is this worksheet that I just showed you now, but you are doing 1, 2, 3, and 5. Okay, I will keep it on the board here, exercise 1. For now, there are still 17 minutes. You can probably finish all of this in 17 minutes. Okay, it's going to go quite quickly. So get going, guys. Yes?
Did you say all 4 exercises?
All of them, but so 1 to 5, but leave out exercise 4. Okay, so get going, guys. Shouldn't take too long. And also, if it does, that's not the end of the world. Don't feel bad.